The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Tsuburaya Productions.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new Tokupitch. Been a while.
Yes, this one is also structured very differently. I did mention it in the stream as of us filming this. It was last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, typically in Tokupitch, we take a show that already exists and we pitch the adaptation. So if it was a Sentai, we'd be pitching the Power Ranger version, etc. Marcus
Or just
has
a new version of it in general.
Marcus has a show from the ground up. Has not been done. There's not an adaptation.
Yeah, I wanted to create something new for this.
And if it does turn out to be new, then they owe us money.
It's
This is all copyright Tokucast.
Yes.
TM.
But yeah, so as I've mentioned a couple times in other videos, I've been watching a lot of martial arts stuff recently. So I want this one.
I already like where this is going.
I want this to be technically two Rider shows going on at the same time, but they trade off weeks. Sort of like how they when Luke was first coming out.
So it's an episode of one versus an episode of the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I sort of want...
But this time around, it's like two full-on separate shows.
Do they interact? It's the same world, pretty much?
Yes.
Okay, so it is just like that.
It's sort of gonna... I'm moving away from some of the things that I know shows end up doing. Let's do a prophecy or some bullshit like that. I hate that.
You don't like prophecy?
I hate them. I hate it so much.
Prophecy.
Yes. Prophecy or something like that. I hate prophecies.
I have thoughts.
I hate them.
You don't like prophecies either?
But...
We'll get to it when we do a Toku talk about it.
Alright, we have a Toku Talk idea.
We have one about tropes coming up. So.
Yeah.
Valid
We'll
point.
be including that. But for this video...
Should we just do a Toku rant about prophecies instead?
I have a rant on prophecies and just like fiction as a whole, not just...
Moving on.
Yeah, just back to my idea. So yeah, I sort of want this show to start off in two separate, at the same location, but from two different perspectives.
Okay.
But we're only going to see one in the beginning and the other in the second one. So, two students of a martial arts school.
Okay.
They end up seeing their master gets killed by the other one. Oh. I see how they're interested. Yeah,
You had my curiosity.
I wanted
now
to
you have my attention.
One man, one woman. They are just a little bit more interesting and have a little bit of a different dichotomy going on from the beginning instead of just,
Okay.
as it is. But I do want there to be a villain faction, but I don't want anyone to know who it is for a few episodes.
Ooh, hidden villain.
Yes, I want a hidden villain because of the way the show was initially set up.
I'm assuming this villain faction would be the actual person responsible for the death of their master.
Yes.
Makes sense.
But I wanted so they aren't fighting against the villain faction. The villains can go and just do what they do in the background while these two are figuring out ways to fight each other. But they are still sending out monsters. But the various writers will end up finding them out at, different places. So we're going to have one writer, say the woman, who is doing more karate. Mm-hmm. That's her style that she starts off with.
Okay.
And the male starts off with traditional, I should say, taekwondo.
Okay.
I'm sort of also working off a little bit of a trope there. For those of you who have seen Shadow Skill, which is an OVA from the 90s, where they had the woman who always did everything with their legs, and the men who did everything with their arms. So I'm sort of switching that up a little bit. Okay. Just to go into how some of the action is going to work. We talked about Jackie Chan earlier in our...
we did it when we were recording earlier.
For the Justerizer review.
Yes.
And I sort of want the action to be a little bit more fast-paced. Mm-hmm. So I want to film it at 24 frames per second.
Like an actual movie.
Yeah, like an actual movie. And have it played back, like when it actually was on playback at 22. So the action scenes sped up during the action scenes.
Okay. That's actually a common practice in action scenes.
For most movies. It's not really common in Toku, so I'm sort of moving away from that.
It's common in kung fu movies and stuff like that as well, just to make the action scene faster.
I'm just going to go into some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I want the action scenes to be a lot better choreographed, so they're going to take some time. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be like the final fight in Drunken Master where that took 2 months to film. But I do want to take, have the time.
You're talking about the fight in the warehouse, right?
Yeah, the fight in the warehouse.
That's an incredible scene, though.
Yes,
it is.
but it took 2 months.
I know. There's a lot going on in that scene.
There's a lot.
A lot of elements.
But I do want to at least have a week or two to do each action scene. So this one is just going to be planned a lot farther ahead.
You're going to have a lot more rehearsal time, it sounds.
Yes.
You're going to have a lot more rehearsal time, and really you're going to want a stunt coordinator as director of this.
Yeah.
Or at least a stunt coordinator who is going to work very closely with the director.
Or
so
both.
That you're going to need this to be a very well-oiled machine.
Yes.
You want John Wick, the Kung Fu movie.
No. I want Super Cop.
Jackie Chan.
For those of you that have seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jackie Chan. But, yeah, the way that I want this to go is that the villain will occasionally send out, just every episode, I guess, a monster to the person for them to fight. So they'll be distracted from whatever the villain is really working on in the background.
So the monsters are just a distraction. They're never actually going to have a plot to rule the world. It's just the monster.
I'll tell you what the villain plot is as soon as
No, I meant the monster.
Let's let him explain this.
No, I was saying I'm clarifying. The monster that themselves will not have this scheme.
general destruction.
Yeah.
But I also want the monster to be based on a martial arts style as well.
Okay.
So that way.
Very much like Geki Ranger.
Sort of. Because the way that they're going to end up getting their various forms is by beating a certain stronger monster.
Mm.
So, even though we have karate on this side, it'll be karate versus karate and taekwondo versus taekwondo. But then later on, we'll have karate versus judo.
And then when you beat judo, they get a judo form.
They get a judo form. And then a taekwondo versus
Muay Thai form and all that.
Aikido. I want it to be a little bit different because, some martial arts don't work as well against other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Striking ones would always work the best against grappling.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to be a little bit more inventive, especially if they end up having to use their surroundings to really give them, in some cases, a legitimate leg up.
Or something like Tai Chi, which is very momentum based.
Yes. I was like, that's what I want. And I want them to end up coming together around episode 15.
Realizing that neither of them did the crime.
No, that's going to be the first time they meet again.
What do you mean?
This is going to be the first time they end up seeing each other.
Okay.
After they separated, after they saw their master.
Oh, okay. I figured throughout they would, so not throughout them, they would see each other and fight. It would always just be versus the monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a little before they end up seeing each other.
Okay, slow burn.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 episodes each. They'll each have a form or two. And then they actually, when they meet up again, on site.
Throwing hands on site.
Yeah, oh, you son of a bitch. She was like, you bitch. And they just start fighting each other.
Is it gonna be a moment where they're walking across the street and they lock eyes?
Yeah.
And
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
in a crowded shopping mall.
They didn't know that they were there, but at the end of the episode previous for the both of them,
Mm-hmm.
we see them going along that street.
Kill Bill music is going mad. Wee, just eyes.
No, they're going to do Critical Crusade, so we have the close up of the X8 eyes. But yeah, they end up seeing each other, and then it's going to be a full episode and a half of them just really causing a lot more destruction and realizing, okay, we messed up somewhere along the line. We should probably stop and see what happened. And then, about the episode after that, the villain will finally go ahead and reveal himself. Who's the villain?
The master.
The master is the villain. He set up this whole thing.
To see who was the stronger student.
No. Mostly to do what Professor Bias did, but he wants to take their ability.
He wants to take theirs. Yeah, figure out who's the stronger student and take their skill.
Pretty much.
I was still right.
And I wanted to set it like that because it's going to be mostly power hungry, more often than not.
He wants to be the best.
And he's using
Around.
the monsters who we haven't seen how he made them. Old bodies.
Okay, this went from PG to R real quick.
Well, I was going to go a little bit supernatural with it because, you sort of can, especially when you're focusing so much on the martial arts.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this went dark.
Yeah, his base is above
It's
a
people.
mass grave.
They're people.
His base is basically above a mass grave, and he uses supernatural
Again,
powers to bring the bodies back. And I'm very excited to see, just that realization moment between the two of them, where they finally had to start coming together to really go ahead and fight against this one person.
Will the villain have his own style as well that's different from any... Or will he just have all of them?
Will he be a jack of all trades?
He's going to be a jack of all trades, and that's sort of where the problem will come in, because he's a master of none.
I was about to say, that is the actual ending of that phrase.
Yeah.
A jack of all trades, but a master of none.
But that first fight, he's going to wipe the floor with both of them. He says they're not ready yet.
They're too busy being fueled by anger.
Well, not so much fueled by anger, but the fact that they're not good enough at their styles.
You're just not good enough yet.
Yeah, so
You
they
need
go
to train
out
more.
Yeah, they go and train together, and that's where you end up getting like the actual power up, which will happen around episode 25. So we get like sort of the mid-season power up a little bit early, but I want that final form to come late, because sort of like Boost, Tokon Boost goes, but done better, because that's not hard to do. They're going to have like a new base form. They can still use all their old styles, but they have to get new ones. And the Master's constantly going to be sending out bigger styles. We're going to start incorporating weapons, so it's not just fist styles and things of that nature. It's going to be them going about and just fighting these guys around the city, because the Master's just going to start sending a lot of them out very quickly.
So for the weapons, do you want weapons that cut or weapons that are more blunt force?
It's going to depend. I think I'm going to end up giving the Taekwondo user the weapons that cut. The karate users the weapons that are much more blunt.
So for her, you're thinking maybe Tonfa?
Tonfa, bow staff, Joe staff,
Nunchucks.
Nunchucks would be a good one for her. And for him, he has.
So, hold on, what style is getting the bladed weapons? Karate? Taekwondo. So you're going to need more Korean-based weaponry? I don't know if Taekwondo has.
Yeah, they do, but I mean, you could also. They can come from anywhere. You don't have
because we're learning new styles as we go along. We're learning a completely different.
That's fair.
style.
I didn't know if we wanted to start off with more like maybe the first.
He could start off with like Chinese straight sword and then work his way up.
He can get a dao. He can get a katana. He can get like the chain, the one with the hook on the end.
The sarigama.
Yeah, the sarigama.
You know what
especially the one with the siphon.
You know what I think one of them should get, because we don't see this enough. The twin hook blades that the Shaolin monks use.
Oh, yeah.
Those are dope and underutilized.
Yeah.
Because they are weapons on their own, and then they hook together and they can give you that reach. Because every single section of that sword is bladed, pretty much.
The way that I want their final forms to work, because they're going to each
That's when we
get
get dual wielding.
They're each going to end up getting their own separate one. I want her, so she's working with more blunt style weapons. Yeah. I want her to get the 3-section staff, because that's so incredibly difficult to use. And I want him, I mean, you mentioned the hook swords, and I think they would actually be sort of cool for a final one, but I don't want him to have that. And I
don't care who gets it as long as it's used.
Like, he can get that.
The villain can use it.
I want her to get that sword breaker, like that club from Crab Tiger Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
The one that Michelle Yeoh uses as the gold
staff.
Sorry,
when you said swordbreaker, I thought of a different weapon.
Oh, no.
It's a parrying dagger.
Oh, no. Yeah, I want her to get the actual swordbreaker, like the big, heavy staff.
You want a studded club.
Yeah. And him, I don't know what I want his final weapon.
Do you want something with a lot of reach, or something that he can get up close and personal and just like mutilate somebody?
I think getting up close and personal, but the style has to be difficult to learn in the first place.
I'm still thinking hook blades.
I'm thinking something like Sai, maybe. Sai or some sort of metal claws, like Baldo claws, that sort of thing.
Sai is more of a parrying defensive weapon than it is an offensive one.
Well, to be fair, you could have her be the much more offensive one and be more.
But if we're giving him bladed weapons, that's typically not something you.
Well, the hook swords.
But still, with Sai, you got to get up close in order to use them. Yeah. That's the point.
So, and typically when you think of club, you don't think of reach. No, it's going to be a big club probably, so she'll have reach.
But I mean, she also has her drill staff and bow staff and all that.
But she's also going to have Tonfa.
Yeah.
So I think
the point is they will have an arsenal that they can pick and choose from.
I'm just trying to think.
Now, earlier on in the show, the master is going to get a new student. Okay. One who he sees a lot more potential in than he saw in these two. But the student is going to be trained in his style. He's going to be a lot more evil. So, of course, nearer to the end of the story, when they actually go up against the master and they have him on the ropes, the student goes to the student.
Can I recommend a style for the student? Muay Thai. Because that's bloody.
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga. Ooh, even better. Fuck.
We can actually have him give him 2.
Let's give him both, because I know Muay Thai mainly focuses, if my memory serves right,
elbows
and knees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you crack somebody in the temple with an elbow, that's brutal.
They're
Yeah.
dead.
So that
You hit him in just the right place with enough force, yep. They're gone.
And we're going to give him dog swords.
Okay.
I don't know how much that matches, but I'm not very familiar with Krav Maga.
It doesn't have to match the hand-to-hand.
Yeah.
It's a completely different style.
That's
Because,
fair.
like,
Using with
you know,
blades.
just like them, their style will change with whatever form they end up using.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
Should we just give the master a gun and be hilarious?
That happens in a movie, and it's amazing.
I would just love for them, like the two of them, to get their weapons out and they flare, and he just goes. Moving on.
You know what else that happened in Bushido Blade, the game, on PS1? The final boss is just a dude with a gun. And it's been all about swords
Now-
up to now.
The way that they're going to end up beating the student here is it going to be them? I was watching something. Remember the second Lord of the Rings movie where they have a whole army of spirits?
That's the third.
The third one. Either way.
They're gonna bring back the ghosts of all the dead people from the monsters and use that.
Yeah.
Dope.
And have him basically
Right.
drag him down to the underworld.
Wow, this got really dark. I love this.
But yeah, that's the show.
So, I have a question. So, you said the third student is the one who's going to kill the master.
Yes.
At the end of the show.
Yes.
Now, what is the third student introduced at the very beginning?
No, he's going to be introduced around the time that he first goes to meet them. Again.
So about episode 20 at the latest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got at least half the show with this kid, with this prick.
So the third student's going to be with the master for his duration
Mm-hmm.
of the show.
He's going to send him out a couple times to fight them.
What do you think is going to be the catalyst for him turning
On the master. Power hungry. This entire show is just villainy for the sake of villainy.
Okay, so he's just gonna be. So eventually, he's gonna see what the master's goal is and decide he wants that for himself.
Yes. Because the master wants power.
Right.
And the student wants more power.
Okay, so he's gonna kill the
Nothing's
master,
ever
and
gonna
then
keep him
he's the one the spirits are gonna get dragged.
Yes.
They're gonna drag to hell. Okay.
Like the sins,
Just wanted to
the
clarify
sins
that.
of your master being passed on to you.
Yeah.
Have fun.
This is not so much they're being passed on. This is you taking them.
More or less.
You're taking them by force because you want them.
I'm a little upset
How's that?
because this isn't real.
That's gonna be the case with all of these.
I know, but this is good. I like this. Marcus and I have been talking about wanting a kung fu based Kamen Rider forever.
It's good for episodes. Like, we never had them. We had 3 martial arts based Super Sentai, but no martial arts based Rider.
Mm.
And just so we actually have a transformation item here.
Okay.
Belts.
Obviously,
Belts on belt.
belts on belts on belts.
But
on.
no, like, you can put, like, the actual
Like
belt
Lulu
go
from Final
through
Fantasy X.
the transformation device.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Thank you. I have no name
I can
for
see.
this.
I can kind of see his costume being Gi style, like in terms of its design.
Both of them.
Yeah, they'd be different colors.
One blue, one red.
That's a little bit too on the nose. Also,
Purple, one blue.
just to prevent, would this be airing in Japan or worldwide, or just doesn't matter? Because to prevent certain people on the internet, I would like to make one of them, the boy or the girl, doesn't matter which, a member of the LGBTQ.
The guy.
Fair enough. Because I don't want anybody shipping these two.
No. We're preventing that. 0 out of 10.
Fuck, make them both. That'd be hilarious.
I think that would just bring them weirdly enough closer together as friends. Yeah, starting off with a little bit
And
of
we're gonna make the third evil student a cis straight white male, right?
I don't know. But yeah, starting off with a little bit of trickery, ended up with a lot more supernatural going forward. I feel like
that's a very good premise. I like that a lot.
I have no name for this show, and I have no name for the writers.
Kamen Rider MMA.
Actually, we're gonna leave it up to the fans.
Ooh, that'd be a great idea. Let us know what names
Please do.
Yeah, put names in the comments.
Whether you want to give each one its own name, or do you want to name the whole show?
Yeah, because I feel like the name of the show would be the name of the Kamen Riders, just like Kamen Rider blank versus blank.
Yeah. And then it would change to
Just call it Kamen Riders.
With a Z.
No. You're excused.
Okay, bye.
But yeah, we have more of these coming up in the future. I know both of you want to come.
I have an
at some
idea.
point.
Mine will be next.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I have no clue.
I have an idea that I'm working on.
I have no clue.
And mine will be a Sentai.
Okay, good, because I was not sure which one of us would do it first, and
I'm doing a Sentai. I've got an idea that I really want to see.
Okay. I'm perfectly alright with it.
I think I'm getting one too now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I'll wait until his done because mine's a Kamen Rider. But let us know what you think. Give us some names down below. We would love to hear them. As always, follow us on all the things, and thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.